All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Masni Patel. I am a probate and estate planning attorney, and I'm here today to discuss a couple of reasons why it is great to have an attorney during the probate process instead of doing it on your own. So I have about 6 bullet points here on this slide that you'll see with my contact information down below, and we'll just sort of go through the 6 bullet points. The first reason why it's great to have an attorney helping you through the probate process is that they will prevent personal liability for your actions as an executor. What do I mean by that? Personal liability can arise in a probate situation if the executor makes an error in doing a variety of things, such as marshaling the assets, generating reports, paying creditors and heirs in the wrong order or the wrong amounts, failing to obtain court authority before taking certain actions, or failing to give proper notice to the proper individuals in the proper manner. This means, as an executor, if you make any of those mistakes I just listed, your personal house, bank accounts, or any other assets that you own could be subject to litigation. And you could lose those assets if you made any of those errors that I missed. I'm sorry, not that I missed, that I just listed. And that's actually quite frightening to realize that. So the attorney helps because they do all of that and they make sure that everything is done correctly. The second reason why it's great to have an attorney help you is that probate will be completed more quickly with an attorney's assistance. We already all know that probate is time consuming, with the average simple probate taking over a year. If you proceed without an attorney, the process can be extended by as much as several years. And that's because of the mistakes that the executor will make. Some of these common mistakes could include when the executor does not prepare the forms correctly the first time, does not give proper notice to all the necessary parties, does not obtain the necessary signatures of heirs or interested creditors, and does not file the appropriate documents before each deadline passes. Rescheduling court dates can take several months, and ultimately what ends up happening is that there is a delay in receiving the inheritance. And I'm sure that's something everybody is interested in avoiding. The third reason an attorney helps is that the attorney will save time for the executor. So even if you have an attorney, there are certain things the executor will still be required to do, such as liquidating the estate's assets, keeping records, paying bills, making lists of creditors. But the thing that will help and save time for the executor is that the executor does not have to learn the law, does not have to learn local court procedure, and does not have to generate inventories and accounting. All of those are difficult tasks, but if you have to take that on, as well as do all of the duties that are required when you're an executor, it makes it even more difficult. And sometimes people feel that it's insurmountable. So having an attorney will save you time and grief and a lot of gray hair. The fourth reason that it's great to have a probate attorney is that they will help minimize the potential for disputes. So the potential for expensive and time-consuming probate litigation is significantly diminished if the probate estate in question is handled effectively, quickly, efficiently by a professional. If handled by someone who lacks experience, there's a potential for disputes, and that can happen when the estate is handled in an unprofessional manner. Then creditors and heirs are more likely to get involved. At a minimum, the interested parties can request supervised administration, which also delays and adds a lot of other burdens. And then at worst, you'll find yourself embroiled in an expensive lawsuit. An attorney's job is to resolve the disputes early in the process in order to make the process as inexpensive for all that are involved. The fifth reason hiring an attorney is a great idea is that it minimizes the stress on the family. The net effect of speeding up the probate process and reducing the amount of time that the executor must personally dedicate to the case and heading off any disputes in a professional manner is to minimize the amount of stress the family of the deceased must deal with, especially at a time when emotions are already high. Families can be torn apart when money enters the equation. If an executor is seen as acting in his or her own best interest at the expense of the other heirs, or failing to competently handle the estate, this can cause interpersonal problems with your loved ones. Hiring an attorney, in effect, places a neutral third party between the executor and the heirs and will allow the executor to focus their energy on spending time with his or her family. Now, the last and sometimes the best reason to hire an attorney is that they can help you draft your own estate plan so that when you pass away, your assets are protected and your loved ones don't have to go through the probate process that you're going through right now.
Awesome. Asumi, I have a couple questions
Yeah.
that came on. One of the first ones that came up was when they receive their inheritance, how is it taxed or is it taxed at all after probate?
So usually inheritances, it also depends maybe what state you live in, but generally inheritances are not taxed. But I'm not a tax professional, so it is best to speak to your tax person about that.
Awesome. The other questions that I have a few that came on.
Yeah.
So one of them was, what do you mean by marshaling the property?
So marshaling the assets or marshaling the property is taking an inventory of what all the assets are that the deceased own. So it's sort of like gathering everything together. And they use the word marshal for interchangeably to mean gather.
Got it. And then the other one that I got is the inventory and accounting process difficult? It seems that you just, basically collect everything that is available. Is that what inventory and accounting really means, or is there more to that?
There is much more to it. The assets can appreciate during the probate. You have to account for that. It depends on the size of the estate, how many assets they have. It can be cumbersome.
Got it. And what the other question that I got, this is the last one. How often do people really fight over a dead person's property, specifically family? Is it very common or is it pretty subtle?
It really depends on the family and the family dynamics. I will say it, I have noticed, I call it the death terror. When someone you love passes away, a lot of people take the love that they have for that deceased person and attach it to either money or an inanimate object like your grandmother's brooch. And so they will fight over that brooch and like they're willing to lose their friendship and, or not even friendship, their family relationship with their siblings, their cousins, their aunts and uncles all over a brooch. So that death terror is quite significant.
Got it. And this is just from personal experience. I'm assuming you and I have worked together and have continued to work together. One of the things that's very common that I see is a lot of petitioners that are out of state, oftentimes a little bit reluctant to get an attorney. Can you kind of, express a little bit as to why that's going to be possibly a costly mistake or sometimes is going to hold back the probate process?
Yeah, I mean, probate, if you're not going to hire an attorney, and especially if you're out of state and you're holding back and sort of deciding what to do, you're losing valuable time because probate's not going to start until that petition gets filed. So you can spend all of your time thinking, do I not hire the attorney? But you're losing time. And in essence, you're losing money because time is money, right? You're not getting your inheritance and putting it to use for you and what you want to do. Um, and it can be daunting to hire an attorney in a different state where you're not able to like ask your neighbor, hey, this is what's going on. Do you have a referral like you would for a plumber? So it can be daunting, but hiring an attorney is quite I mean, it's really everything. And if you're out of state and you're watching this and you have a probate in a different state, please contact me. I can help find an attorney for you in a different state, but don't do it on your own.
Yeah. And just a quick little background on that. We actually, Masumi and I are working on a probate together where Masumi actually was really the only attorney who wanted to help my client who lives in Tennessee secure a few things. Um, Masumi is really great at going above and beyond. I don't know if that's something that you can share, Masumi, just so that you can kind of give them a little background. If not, it's understandable if you can't. For
Yeah, I mean, I can share a few things. I don't want to violate attorney-client privilege. I will say in this particular instance, because the executor is out of state, the court required a bond. And the bond company will not issue a bond to in this case, the executor, because there was no attorney. So in some ways, even if you're out of state, you'll have to hire an attorney because the court will require a bond, and the bond company is not going to give you a bond unless there's an attorney on the case.
Yeah. So I just wanted to have her touch on that because she is the legal expert, and I wasn't too sure what can or can't be said. I'm assuming one of the other questions that just came aboard is how long does it take to go through probate if I have limited authority versus if I had full authority?
So limited authority, what that means is that when you go to sell real estate or the deceased home, you have to get the court to approve it. And that takes time because you've got to get on the court's calendar. The judge has to hear it. And in a really hot real estate market, it is hard to keep the buyer interested in the home if that process takes 3 or 4 months. So it like limits the people who would be interested in buying the home.
Got it. Okay. Well, those are all the questions that I have that came up on this separate chat. I didn't want to inundate it on the call, but Masumi, I want to thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to share a little bit of information with us. So
yeah, no problem.
If you'd like, I would recommend sharing your contact information once again in case they didn't catch it in the beginning.
Oh, sure. Let me share my screen again. There we go. It's down at the bottom. You can reach me by email. You can reach me through my website, or just give me a call at the phone number there.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.